When you're not even named as a suspect, when they don't even know your identity, like when I say identity, mean they don't know who this person is that they see on the camera. They have no idea. And then this is something crucial that happened in the trial today that I think people should be paying attention to, is that he turned himself in and he was not under arrest.
But I think coming from the lover of Tyler Robinson are Tyler Robinson's words themselves. And so that's what makes it most compelling. It is his own, right? It's him saying, look, I'm basically confessing to this.
Before we get back to the show, I want to tell you guys about Synergy. If you're tired of energy drinks that spike you up, make you jittery, and then crash you later, Synergy is built differently. Synergy Day gives you clean, steady energy and focus with natural caffeine from green tea. Synergy Night helps you wind down so that you can rest and you can wake up clean, not groggy. It's a simple day and night system made with natural ingredients, no sugar spikes, and no synthetic stimulant overload. Go to SynergyLife.com and try it for yourself. Better energy, better rest, better rhythm.
Today, when there was a prolonged period of recess, what was being discussed is what would be admissible in court, which was the evidence of Lance Twiggs' testimony was admitted, but the discussion was what, if any, of his testimony should be redacted or not allowed for the public to see or hear. And it went way longer than I think it should have. I think it's very simple. And I know the judge has a very difficult situation because this is one of his biggest cases ever, probably the biggest case he'll ever have, and he don't want to mess this up, so he's taking all the precautions. I get it. I understand it. I don't like it, but I know what it is. But he took a very long time trying to decipher what he would present to the public because Lance Twiggs' interview was a recording. They wanted the prosecution wanted to play it in court, but then the defense said it was a violation of Tyler Robinson's constitutional rights to a fair trial because it could be incriminating. I, honest to God, true, feel like they did not have a claim whatsoever on this. They were belaboring the point. The judge, in my opinion, could have done a better job by stepping in, but that's not his job. But I think the prosecution could have done a better job by stepping in and saying, look, y'all are ridiculous as his constitutional right, my you know what. I get it. I understand it. He does have a constitutional right to do certain things, but that does not preclude us from putting evidence out into the ether. And here's the thing that bothers me about the whole thing is that they're worried. The defense is fighting really hard to not taint the jury. But by not allowing information out there could also taint the jury because these nut jobs are out here spreading conspiracy theories. Anyway, we got another question. Do you think the preliminary trial will actually be over on Friday? I do not think the preliminary trial will be over on Friday. I just don't think it will be. I don't know if the judge is going to make them, but I do not think it's going to be over. And it is because mismanagement from the judge. This is my opinion. And if the judge is watching this, I understand what his dilemma is, but that does not excuse the fact that this should be going and moving a lot quicker than it is because the defense has just laid on by just, I call it filibustering, but they keep the first 2 days, they're arguing things that the judge said, I'm going to overrule this objection. He's already established that this is a preliminary hearing, a pretrial hearing. This is a probable cause hearing. And they let the defense argue for 3 hours of something that the judge has already established that he would overrule. And they let him do it for 3 hours one day, and they did it for hours the other day. Everything that the prosecution did, they objected to. At some point, I think the judge should have said, if you say this, I'm going to overrule. And therefore, when they did it and they go, I object, they go, it's the same argument, I overrule. That's all you have to say. But instead, he let them go to rigmarole and just say the same thing over and over. And that's why we're at the trial right now where they still got important witnesses that still need to be interviewed. The defense have 2 other witnesses. And I don't think there's any way in the world at the way it's going now that they're going to finish on Friday at 5 p.m. Don't let me get worked up. I want the judge to manage the court better, and I need them to move the process back. This is not a trial hearing. This is a probable cause hearing. This sugar honey iced tea should have been over a long time ago. It is very simple. They got video. They got all the evidence you need. They need to lay it out, and it's over. The judge go back to the back. Probable cause is established. I digress, but I'm just frustrated with it because today was a completely wasted day, in my opinion. Nothing happened today. Do you remember anything happened today? Nothing happened today. Anyway, do you think that the defense will eventually offer a plea deal due to the level of evidence that is presented, or will they gamble with the full trial? That is an incredible question. I do not know the answer to that question. If I were the defense, I would say, please give me a deal and we'll take it. There's no way. I cannot see that. First of all, probable cause hearing is the threshold is a reasonable person believe that this person reasonably did the crime. It's not even a high burden threshold. Like whenever you arrest somebody on the street, they could not even do the crime. Because the burden of probable cause don't even mean they did it. It just means if the evidence was presented to a reasonable person, would they believe that this person could have done the crime? And the answer is yes. So the probable cause threshold is very low. Hands down, I think they got probable cause, even if they stopped the trial today. However, I honestly believe that when the evidence is fully brought forward, there is no chance that Tyler Robinson, unless there's some type of something happens in the trial where it's a fluke or you get a weirdo on a jury and they just refuse to acquiesce to anything and they create a hung jury or something. There's no way that this boy is walking away from this with the evidence that I have seen so far. Why is it important that Tyler turn? Why is it so important that Tyler turned himself in? They spent a lot of time on it in court. I think this is, to me, this is one of the most damning things to the defense. Because what argument will you present if your defendant turned himself in when it was not necessary? If they had identified Tyler Robinson and he turned himself in, that'll be a different scenario. I would argue, well, y'all said it was him. He didn't want a conflict. He didn't want to get killed in a standoff. So since y'all identified him, he said, I'm going to turn myself in. That, to me, still opens the possibility that he may not have done it. He just felt compelled to turn himself in because the evidence was there and his name was named as a suspect. But when you're not even named as a suspect, when they don't even know your identity, like when I say identity, I mean they don't know who this person is that they see on the camera. They have no idea. And then this is something crucial that happened in the trial today that I think people should be paying attention to, is that he turned himself in and he was not under arrest. They still had not even considered that there was probable cause that exists, because just because you turn yourself in don't automatically mean that you admitted to guilt. They said in court today, verified, that he was just detained while they were questioning him. They didn't arrest him until they interviewed his mother and his father and interviewed the person who was a family friend that turned him in. They didn't even arrest him until after they interviewed them, and their testimony gave them probable cause to believe that he committed the crime. I don't even think Tyler Robinson admitted to anything in his interview. And I think that that's something that's incredibly crucial. Do you think Erica Kirk wants the death penalty? Do you want the death penalty? I'm not sure. I cannot speak for Erica Kirk. She's probably a lot more forgiving than I am because obviously her husband was killed and she's more intimate in the scenario. I want the death penalty. I think he deserves the death penalty according to the law. I don't think he deserved the death penalty because I want to be punitive towards him. Because if it was up to me, the person who killed Charlie Kirk should get the same treatment that Charlie Kirk got, and I would love to watch that happen. However, according to the law, according to the court, according to evidence that's presented, I think he deserved capital punishment, which is the death penalty in this case, because he not only pre-planned that premeditated murder, he not only did it, he did it in front of a ton of victims. To be honest, everybody out there, 3,000 people were a victim of this crime as well. Discharging a firearm on campus is a crime. And you talk about all the people who were victimized, getting shot over, people that could have been shot and injured, all the people that the gun was pointed towards. I mean, he legitimately, all these people should be victims of a crime. You have him doing that, you have it being premeditated, and then you have the enhancement, which is he did it because he hated his political beliefs and his religious theology. And he tried to cover up the crime. And and all the other things that contributed to the lack of remorse. Therefore, I think he should get capital punishment. Are the defense attorneys hired by the family or appointed? Here's the crazy thing that I found out the other day, and this is why they're literally milking the clock. The defense team is selected by the family but paid for by the state. So they give Tyler Robinson a defense budget. And I think it makes sense because this is a preliminary probable cause hearing. And so they have to, it's almost like having how you have a public defender. But they have allotted him, I think, $1 million or something like that in order to hire his own counsel to defend him in this preliminary hearing. And so it is somebody that was selected by the family, but it is paid for by, I believe the state is paying for it on his behalf. So that's a crazy one. Okay, last thing is super chat from, what's that, Michael and Cassie, I'm sorry. Is the judge going to put his foot down on the defense? The answer is no. And this will be the last question, and I'm going to tell you why the judge is not going to put his foot down. And I do not blame him, even though I don't like it. The judge in this case, in my opinion, what I would like for him to do, according to the way I like this to go, is I like him to put his foot down and in the rear end of the defense when they're sitting here repeating themselves 400 times in a row about the same thing that he overruled an objection. And you could tell, everybody in the world can tell, that they're sitting here delaying this trial. There's so many things that they did not have to go through that the judge could have nipped in the butt. 3 hours of talking to the forensic investigator, the DNA forensic person, for 3 hours was inhumane. It went far beyond the scope of a probable cause hearing. And the judge knew it. Everybody knew it. But here's why the judge is not going to intervene. Because he do not want this trial to be overruled at a later date. Because this is his entire career and reputation. And I said this, and nobody can say anything about me coming up with this today or whatever. I said this 2 or 3 days ago. Because this is his reputation. And if he did not handle this with care, and this killer, if he is found guilty and they did not do things properly in the preliminary hearing, it's going to fall back on him, and this could get overturned, although Tyler Robinson, if he's found guilty, was the killer. And no judge want that on their consciousness. And so he's going to let them say whatever they need to say, and the record to show that he gave them every opportunity to uphold the Constitution for their client and do the best that they can, and he heard them clearly on every point. I hate it, but I see where he's going with it.